What if Captain Rex executed Order 65 on Palpatine? Our story begins around a week after ARC Trooper 5 died in Captain Rex's arms while spiraling on about some conspiracy about the clones, the Jedi, the Chancellor himself. Before he could ever truly say what he wanted to say, Commander Fox shot him through the chest, and he died along with whatever knowledge he had with him. Rex felt horrible about all of it, and in the time since Fives' death, he recorded a special message on his file where Rex said that perhaps the inhibitor chips have a purpose that nobody yet understands. But as Rex tried sleeping through all of it, he decided it just wasn't possible. He had to figure out what made Fives so worried, or he would never forgive himself if it all someday came to light. And so the next day, a day in which the 501st was set to take off into hyperspace to aid in the space battle above Felucia, Rex completely disappeared from his Legion. This was extremely hard for Rex to do, as his men relied so heavily on him. But Rex was assigning himself a new mission, one he couldn't afford to pass up on. And in the meantime, Rex was confident that Anakin and Jesse could handle the leadership of the squad while he was away. After all, if everything went according to plan, he would be back in no time, hopefully with no great discoveries. Rex would stay hidden on Coruscant as the 501st ships had to take off after being unable to locate him, and Rex put together a sort of plan to investigate the inhibitor chips. First, Rex went to the clone medical bay while wearing just a base set of clone armor. He couldn't risk anyone finding him here. Once inside, Rex moved from room to room until he located an AZ medical droid, the same type of droid he knew performed the inhibitor chip surgery on Fives. And Rex told this droid that he has a terrible headache. He explained how Fives had the same headache, which was solved by finding a tumor inside of his brain and removing it. So Rex ordered the droid to remove this tumor, and he told the droid that it could not deny it, as it was the droid's programming to save his life. The droid complied, and Rex was knocked out as the droid got to work. It was a risky operation, just because the inhibitor chip was hard to find, and the ramifications of its removal were relatively unknown. But Rex eventually did wake up from the operation, and on the table next to him was a chip that was still in perfect working condition. Rex asked the droid for all of the available information on the chip, and after some scans, the droid just said it was to keep all of the clones loyal and in line. But for further dissection and information on the data inside of the chip, Rex will need a top-level research droid, and the nearest one available is inside of the Jedi Temple. So Rex wasted no time. He grabbed the chip, moving to the Jedi Temple, landing a clone speeder inside of it, and the hangar Jedi allowed him inside. It was nothing crazy for clone troopers to enter the temple these days, especially as the war was in full force, and battle strategy was needed more than ever. So Rex walked through the vast temple, getting lost time and time again, until he finally reached the research station of the archives. Inside of this room, droids waited behind a screen for Jedi to give them something to look into. These droids could read symbols, dissect objects, find hidden data better than almost anything else in the galaxy. But when Rex tried to send in his chip, the droids refused it, as Rex did not have a Jedi clearance code. Rex was frustrated, but from behind him, an old voice asked Rex if he needs a hand. Rex turned, then looked down, and he saw Grand Master Yoda smiling up at him. Yoda said that he'd followed Rex for a good time here in the temple, and he can only wonder what is going on. Yoda heard that Rex was missing from Anakin's clone legion, and now he's showed up here. So Rex decided to explain everything once more about Fives, the chips, and his investigations. Yoda was very intrigued. He was very concerned about the clones. He thought perhaps the investigations into the chips went away too quickly, but they all had to move on. Until now. Yoda told Rex that he will help him, and he punched in his own Jedi clearance code, allowing the research droids to take the inhibitor chips and begin analyzing it. As the droid did this, Yoda asked Rex why he didn't tell Anakin or any other Jedi about this. Rex said he wasn't quite sure, but he already knew all of this was a great risk. It may be treasonous at worst. Fives spoke about the Chancellor being in on the plot, and Rex didn't want the Jedi to get into hot water with the Chancellor unless he had legitimate proof. This made sense to Yoda, and he was once again surprised by how honorable the clone troopers proved to be. The two of them waited patiently until the droid returned with a list of data inside of the chip. Inside of it were 150 contingency orders designed to be used in case of emergency. Rex and Yoda began going through them together, and almost all of them were basically nothing at all. Head to the nearest base, shut down comm channels, report last scouting information. But Rex and Yoda made a point to scan through all of them, just in case, and soon they got to Orders 65 and 66. Order 65 declared that if the Supreme Chancellor was deemed unfit for duty, then the Chancellor was to be arrested, or if necessary, killed. And then Order 66 was basically the opposite, but for the Jedi Order as a whole. The two of them wondered how the orders would work. If Order 66 was called, Yoda knew a large majority of the clones would hesitate, if not completely refuse, to take down their Jedi leaders. But Rex realized something as he read through these orders. Despite never having heard of them before, it was like they were always in his head, like a memory that just had to be unlocked. It was very troubling, and Yoda said he will bring this information to the Council. Rex thanked the old Grandmaster, and the two of them went their separate ways. As Yoda went to speak with some council members, Rex went to 500 Republica, the home of many prominent senators and political figures, including Chancellor Palpatine. There was currently a Senate meeting for banking regulations going on, giving Rex the perfect opportunity to sneak into Palpatine's apartment, see if he can find anything of importance. Rex entered the building, riding the elevator up to the apartment, and as the royal guards were in between security shifts, Rex managed to barely enter the room and begin looking around. For about an hour, Rex found absolutely nothing. Time slipped by him so fast that he didn't even realize the Senate meeting ended, and Palpatine was coming back here. As Rex heard the door opening, he saw Palpatine with his guards and a handful of senators, and he hid inside of a huge closet. But inside of the closet, Rex now saw a hidden door, and in desperation, he entered the door. Once inside, Rex found out it was actually an elevator. This just kept getting stranger. So with no other options, Rex descended down to see where this elevator went. It sank deep through the entire 500 Republica building, underneath Coruscant itself, and opened to reveal some sort of lair. As the doors opened, Rex immediately saw battle droids and Geonosians gathered around a room of red computers, tracking battles in the war. They all turned to Rex, and after a moment of shock from both Rex and these separatists, Rex dove out of the elevator and began firing his pistols at the droids and the Geonosians. Rex didn't have time for questions. He dove behind a data table, taking out 3 battle droids, punching a Geonosian in the face before being hit in the side by another blast. It didn't hurt him too bad, and Rex hid once more, then opened fire on 2 more Geonosians and another battle droid, leaving only 2 commando droids in the room with him. They both swung their blades at Rex, and Rex ducked once more, shooting one in the head before grabbing its blade, stabbing the final commando droid. The room went silent, and Rex looked around. He was in a separatist base directly from Palpatine's office, and outside the base was an extremely long tunnel headed in the direction of the industrial sector. Rex was extremely confident that what he just found was treason of the highest level by Palpatine. But before he could do anything else, the elevator that Rex came down here on began making noise, indicating that someone else was coming down here. As the elevator was showing that the person inside was getting closer and closer, Rex frantically searched everywhere for an idea, something, anything, and he found it, a communications table that could send a message to every single clone inside of the Grand Army. Rex remembered Order 65, and as the elevator got closer to the bottom, he made his choice. He switched it on, speaking to every clone now, telling them of his discoveries, saying that Fives was right, and then he ended it with a simple command that was deep in every clone's brain: execute Order 65. Rex wasn't sure if it worked, but as the elevator was reaching the final levels, he ran out of the layer and into the tunnel system. Rex was smart enough to know that there had to be some sort of vehicle to travel through these tunnels. He frantically searched the walls until he found a hidden speeder, turning it on, taking off through the tunnels at the last second, right as Palpatine himself emerged to see the speeder zoom away and see his underground lair has been discovered and ruined. He didn't know that Rex executed Order 65, and he found no stolen data. Palpatine knew that he had to find whoever was down here before it was too late. They obviously found something. So he began running through these tunnels, moving like a shadow, using the Force to enhance his speed. And as Palpatine ran, he realized he may need a great distraction for all of this. So he contacted Dooku and Grievous, ordering them to attack Coruscant with everything they have. The time for the end of the war is here. When Rex reached the end of the tunnels, he came upon a new layer, this one deep in the industrial sector, and upon reaching the hangar overlooking the reddish glow of this sector, Rex grabbed his comlink, requesting for the Coruscant Guard to find him here, so they can bring Palpatine into custody themselves. Of course, at this point they had no idea who Palpatine truly was. To the clones, he was just a regular, now corrupt and evil politician. So as 3 Republic gunships landed in the lair hangar and the Coruscant Guard emerged with Commander Fox as the lead, they were ready to bring Palpatine to justice. Rex figured that Palpatine had to be following him, almost here, and now they waited. And soon enough, as the clones surrounded around the room, Palpatine rose up in his black robe, looking around to see all of the clones. Rex spoke first, telling the Chancellor he is under arrest for treason against the Republic. The clones began moving in, and Fox remembered Fives. He killed Fives under Palpatine's orders. And so Fox determined that Palpatine deserved that same fate. So he fired his pistol directly at Palpatine's heart, accepting the consequences that would come afterward. But the blaster bolt froze in midair, and with a sudden bone-chilling laugh, Palpatine said they should have listened to Fives. The blast was sent back at Fox, killing him instantly, and the 30 clones in here immediately began firing. Sidious ignited 2 red blades, spinning around in the air, deflecting the blasts back at the clones with ease, instantly killing 20 of them, then running through the room, slicing through 4 more. He flipped into one of the gunships. Rex survived the encounter with just a few other clones, and they watched Palpatine take off through the air. Clone Trooper Thyre quickly contacted the Republic blockade above Coruscant, ordering them to not let any gunships into the atmosphere. Palpatine is armed and dangerous, and he should be killed on sight. As Sidious flew through the air, he saw dozens of clone gunships and V-Wings emerge from the blockade above the planet and begin chasing him. Sidious was spinning his ship through the air, avoiding firepower, just trying to stay alive until the Separatist attack arrived and helped him get out of here. Sidious hadn't had to be a truly elite pilot in years, but he could do it if needed. He shot down a few clone gunships as more and more started chasing him over the industrial sector, and finally, one of the clones hit his ship. Sidious ejected into the air, igniting both blades, deflecting blasts from all around as he floated to the ground. He sent them back into ships before he was able to land on a clone V-Wing, taking it over, throwing the clone pilot to the ground below. And Sidious once more spun through the air, doing whatever he must to stay alive, evading the clones. Deep in Coruscant City, as the clones and Sidious were fighting, Yoda called the Jedi Council into session, and all of the Jedi were reporting that the clones were acting strangely. All of them just received a command from Rex, telling them that Palpatine has committed treason and is to be killed on sight. All of the clones were trying to get back to Coruscant to finish this, and the Jedi were having to keep everything organized. Yoda told everyone about what he and Rex found, and he told the Jedi that Rex must have used Order 65. As of now, the main objective for the clones is going to be bringing Palpatine to justice. Most of the Jedi were spread across the galaxy at this moment, but some were on Coruscant, including Yoda, Windu, Plo Koon, and Depa Billaba. They said they will aid the clones and try to bring in Palpatine alive, when suddenly, something new happened. A giant Separatist fleet, led by Grievous, emerged above Coruscant from a secret hyperspace route that Palpatine gave to Grievous. And this sprung all of the Jedi on Coruscant into action, as the greatest battle of the Clone Wars got underway. Within minutes, the skyline of Coruscant was a chaotic mess of fire and smoke as the battle began. On the ground, clone troopers, now unshackled from their allegiance to Palpatine, fought ferociously alongside the Jedi, as droid carriers that weren't destroyed by the Republic blockade were landing all throughout the city. The streets became trenches of war, with blaster fire streaking all around. Yoda and Windu moved through the battlefield to aid the clones, doing whatever they could to hold the droids back from pushing further into the city. Yoda leapt from one armored vehicle to another, slicing through droids, using the Force to throw waves of them away, while Windu swung his purple blade around with power. Above the ground battle, the skies were suddenly filled with starfighters and bombers of both the Republic and Separatists. Plo Koon and Depa Billaba led squads of ARC 170s and V-Wings against the Separatist droid fighters. The Invisible Hand flagship loomed ominously above it all, directing this chaos. Explosions dotted the skies, the wreckage of starfighters rained down upon the city below, and amid all of it, Jedi starfighters guided the Republic forces. The space around Coruscant was a storm of laser fire and debris. Capital ships were erupting in flames as their shields gave way, while boarding parties from both sides attempted to seize control of the vessels. The battle was felt even on the planet's surface, as Jedi were guiding people to safety shelters. Amidst the chaos, Palpatine made his move. Under the guise of the confusion, he slipped away from the ships chasing him through the air, landing down on the streets of Coruscant. Grievous sent a shuttle full of Magna Guards to his location, and Palpatine moved towards it. A wave of very many clones found the shuttle and waited, but Palpatine ripped through the air, blasting lightning, slicing through the clones with his two blades. And with the clones cut down, Palpatine boarded the shuttle, and it took him up to the Invisible Hand flagship. The shuttle was guided by dozens of vulture droids as it was able to safely land in the hangar, but it would not be landing alone. With the hangar bay opened, Jedi starfighters that followed Sidious landed in the hangar bay, and the 4 Jedi that followed him here were Yoda, Windu, Plo Koon, and Depa Billaba. All 4 of them caught Sidious by surprise, igniting their blades, ready to take the treasonous Chancellor down. And nearby, the elevator doors opened to reveal Dooku and Grievous, and it would be a duel to the end of the war one way or another. In the hangar bay, Yoda stared down Dooku, Plo and Depa turned to Grievous, and Windu faced Sidious. Mace Windu wasted no time to take on Palpatine, and their lightsabers clashed together, the purple blade of Windu meeting the red blade of Sidious as the two of them moved against each other. Windu sunk into Vapad to counter Sidious's powerful darkness, and this would always give Windu the upper hand. They moved through the hangar with both of them occasionally looking to their allies to see who was winning the other duels. Across the hangar, Yoda faced off against Dooku, former master and apprentice, fighting for the first time since Geonosis in a battle to the end, their sabers creating arcs of green and red as Yoda pushed Dooku to the wall, flipping, kicking around with acrobatics that Dooku never truly got used to. But Dooku didn't waver, his elegant form meeting Yoda's aggressiveness with a calm style that was quickly being worn down. Near the entrance of the hangar, Plo and Depa battled the towering Grievous. The cyborg's 4 blades whirled around, swinging heavily at the Jedi, but Plo and Depa combined their abilities very well. The 2 Jedi allowed themselves to be pushed back by Grievous, waiting for any sort of opening, as the droid general grunted in anger and power. Depa finally saw an opening in Grievous's defenses, but it would cost her. With a silent nod to Plo, she launched herself into a new attack, drawing Grievous's attention, allowing Grievous to stab her while she cut through 2 of his blades. This gave Plo the crucial moment he needed, and with a powerful thrust, Plo drove his saber through Grievous's exposed chest, ending the droid cyborg's life, as Depa became one with the Force. Windu saw Depa, his former Padawan, fall to Grievous's blade, and it gave him more strength to make sure her sacrifice was worth it. Windu's relentless assault finally overwhelmed Sidious, the Sith Lord falling to his knees as Windu's blade found its mark, and he didn't hesitate to swing and kill the Dark Lord once and for all. Together, Windu, Plo, and Yoda now defeated Dooku. Yoda cut his lightsaber away, and Plo sliced off his hands before he could fire lightning. Windu was now touching the dark side, and he stabbed Dooku to kill him as Yoda called out for him to wait, but it was too late. The Jedi stood in victory, and Windu had to calm himself. 3 of them would escape the ship together, and they did it just in time as Republic reinforcements from around the galaxy were arriving. Anakin in the 501st, Obi-Wan in the 212th, and so many others arrived to take down the Separatists in space. With their leaders gone, the Separatist forces began falling into chaos, and within hours, Coruscant was secured by the Republic. But the damage was done. The city was heavily in ruins, but the war could finally come to an end. Captain Rex and Yoda would go to the Senate together when it was over, presenting the inhibitor chips with the contingency orders, along with the evidence of Palpatine having a Sith and Separatist lair on Coruscant. It was proven that Palpatine was using this war to bring himself into more power, and with both sides seeing they were being played, the Republican Separatist Senate quickly began peace negotiations, and within a week, the war would end as the remaining Separatist leaders were arrested. The clones would all have their inhibitor chips removed, staying on as Republic security, helping any Republic planet that requested for clone aid in supply runs, rebuilding from the war, or whatever else was needed. Rex was labeled as the hero of the war for exposing Palpatine, and he rejoined the 501st with Anakin. The Jedi Order would see their errors with the war over, and begin separating itself from the Republic, and in time, they would usher in a new era, with twins Luke and Leia leading the way, Undermaster Anakin Skywalker. And folks, that is our story for today. My main goal with this was just to kind of make it really chaotic. Rex discovering all of this and just going into spiral mode with it. That was the main goal. We got giveaways coming up for 70,000, 75,000, 80,000. It'll be lightsabers, Legos, books, all sorts of stuff. So hit the subscribe button if you want to be part of that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought. It was a chaotic story. I always want these to feel kind of fun, not I try to keep them realistic, but I also do like having fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed as always. Yeah. So appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the chaos. Sidious, Dooku, and Grievous dying together. I enjoyed the huge lightsaber battle. In these stories, I've typically had the clones kill Sidious, so decided to do just the big lightsaber ending. Anyways, thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.